Hello everyone. In the last video, we had learned the concepts of correlation and regression lines. And also I had mentioned how to find coefficient of correlation using three different formula, and that was denoted by R. And also how to find the regression lines where I had mentioned. So in today's session, I'm going to teach you how to use the same formula and solve the problems. So before starting off with the problems, I'll just mention one real life application of correlation. If an insurance company wants to know the relation between the number of claims and the number of policy holders, then they can make use of the correlation coefficient. And using that, they can just claim whether they're positively correlated or negatively correlated. That means finding out R will help you out to know whether the two quantities are positively correlated or negatively correlated. If your R turns out to be positive value, then you can conclude the two quantities are positively correlated. That is, they are moving in the same direction. If one variable is increased, the other one, which is depending on that, is also increasing. And vice versa, if R value turns out to be negative, you can just conclude the correlation is negative. That is, the two quantities are moving in the opposite direction. So we'll start off with the problem. The first problem, I'm just reading it out. The following data gives the age of husband and age of wife in years. Form the two regression lines and calculate the age of husband corresponding to 16 years age of wife. So here X represents age of husband and Y represents age of wife. He wants you to find the two regression lines. So to find two regression lines, that is X on Y and Y on X, I had mentioned in the last class, you can find that in two ways. The first one is this. You can use these two formula and find out the two lines. For you to use these two, you have to first find out R and then replace here. Whereas there's one more alternative formula or the equation to find out the two lines, which is this one. And this is simpler. So we learn both the methods. So to find out by this equation, there is no need for you to find out R. So we'll learn one by one, both the methods. So we'll see what's the data given here. Okay, X represents here age of husband. Okay, so the age of husband is given. X values are these 36, 23, and age of wife is also given, that is Y. So only these two columns are given. Using this data, you're supposed to find the two regression lines. So I'm just moving on to the regression line equations. So first thing you should do is write the regression line equation. So regression line of Y on X I've written here, which is Y minus Y bar equals to R into sigma Y by sigma X into X minus X bar. So once you write the equation, the first thing you should do is find all the unknowns here. So you have to find Y bar, R, sigma Y, sigma X, X bar. And all the formula I've mentioned in the last class. Y bar represents mean of Y and X bar represents mean of X, and R represents correlation coefficient. Sigma Y and sigma X are standard deviation of Y and X respectively. So find all the unknowns and just replace it back here. So first I'll find out X bar, Y bar. So we'll go back to the table and try to find these unknowns. So X bar represents mean, that's the average of the given values. That is summation X by N. The formula is summation X by N. So you need summation X here. So just add the X column. The X column, when you add it up, it turns out to be summation X is equal to 300. And you also need N value. N represents number of values there. Just count the number of values given. 1, 2, 3, just like that. You just count the entire data. That is 10 here. So N is replaced here as 10. 300 by 10 is 30. So we found X bar. Likewise, we need Y bar as well, which is summation Y by N. And summation Y is the addition of the entire Y column. So add the entire Y column, which is 250 here. So 250 substituted. Whole divided by N. N is the number of values, which is again 10. 250 by 10 is 25. So we got x bar, y bar. The next thing we should find is sigma x, sigma y. So sigma x square formula is summation x square by n minus x bar square. So I need summation x square here. I need x square column. So just check your formula, see what are the terms you need, make that as your next column. So x square is the next column I should form because I need that in the formula. So I am just writing x square as the next column. Find out x square, it's the square of x. So just square the first column and get the answer. You can use the calci. 36 square is 1296, 23 square is 529. Likewise, this column is filled. Once this column is filled, we need the summation. The summation of x square. Addition of this column is 9138. So we got summation x square. We'll just go and replace it back in sigma x square. The summation x square is 9138 whole divided by n. N represents the number of values, which is 10 here, minus x bar, which is already found here, which is 30. So 30 square. So using calci, we'll calculate this, and which turns out to be 13.8. So sigma x square is 13.8. I need sigma x, which is square root of 13.8, which turns out to be 3.71. Once we have sigma x, I also need sigma y in the formula. So I'll write the formula for sigma y square, which is summation y square by n minus y bar the whole square. Y bar is already there. N is the number of values, which is again there. I need only summation y square. So go back to the table. Form the next column, y square. So y square is the square of y column, which is 29 square, 841, 18 square, 324. Likewise, fill this y square column, add it up, and that turns out to be 6414, which represents summation y square. Come back and replace here. So summation y square is 6414 and divided by n value is 10. Y bar was already found 25, 25 square. Just calculate using calci, and that turns out to be 16.4. So sigma y will be square root of 16.4, which is 4.05. So we found sigma x, sigma y. The next thing I need in the formula is, if you observe here, we have found y bar, sigma x, sigma y, x bar. The only term left out is r. So write the formula for r, which is sigma x square plus sigma y square minus sigma x minus y square divided by 2 sigma x, sigma y. In this, already sigma x and sigma y is found. One left out is sigma x minus y square. So we'll take sigma x minus y separately. So sigma x minus y square I should find. So I'll just rename this x minus y as z. So that's sigma z square. And sigma z square formula is summation z square by n minus z bar the whole square. So here I need to find z. What is z here? Z we had replaced for x minus y. So just go to your table and find out z square. And also you need z bar here. So we'll find these one by one. I need z square here. So I'm going back to the table and constructing my next column, which is z, and then find out z square. And z was x minus y. So just subtract x and y and write the answers. That's the first column minus second column. 36 minus 29, which is 7. 23 minus 18, which is 5. Fill in this column in the similar way and just add it up, which turns out to be 50. The summation z is 50. I also wanted z square, so I'm just finding out z square. It's square of z. So 7 square is 49, 5 square is 25. Likewise, fill this entire column, add it up. So summation z square turns out to be 306. So once you have the values ready, just go back and replace in sigma z square. So sigma z square will be summation z square, which we have found in the table, which is 306 divided by n value is the number of values, which is 10. And z bar also we have to find here, we don't have. So z bar is summation z by n. It's the average of z. So summation z by n. And summation z we have found in the table, which was 50. So 50 by number of values is 10. 50 by 10 is 5. So z bar is 5. Just come back and replace here. So instead of z bar, I'm replacing it as phi square. Use the calci and find out this value, which turns out to be 5.6. So we have sigma z square, which is 5.6. Sigma z is nothing but z. I had renamed x minus y as z. So this will be sigma x minus y square is 5.6. So we'll come back and replace here. R is equal to sigma x square. Sigma x square we have found earlier. Sigma x square was 13.8 and sigma y square was 16.4. So I'm replacing it here. Sigma x square is 13.8, sigma y square is 16.4, and sigma x minus y square is same as sigma z square, which is 5.6. I'm replacing whole divided by 2 into sigma x. Sigma x also we have found 3.71, sigma y is 4.05. So R value turns out to be 0.82. You can use your calci and find out this value, that will be 0.82. So once you have R value also, just go and replace in the regression line equation. So we are replacing it here. Y as it is minus y bar is 25, R is 0.82 we have found, sigma y is 4.05, sigma x is 3.71, x as it is, x bar is 30. These are all values we have found previously and I've just replaced it here. So this left hand side I'm keeping as it is, y minus 25. We'll try to simplify the right hand side. 0.82 into 4.05 by 3.71 is 0.89 using the calci, and then multiplied by x minus 30. So y minus 25 is equal to, I'll just multiply this number 0.89. So 0.89 into x is 0.89. 0.89 into minus 30 is minus 26.7. So I need a y relation in terms of x. So extra term here is in the left hand side 25 minus 25, push it to right side, makes it plus 25. So y will turn out to be 0.89x. Just subtract these two terms, 25 minus 26.7 is minus 1.7. So that's the first regression line, y on x. And the similar way you have to find one more line is saying both the lines. So we're finding one more line there, regression line of x on y. And the equation is x minus x bar is equal to r sigma x by sigma y into y minus y bar. You have to remember it is x on y. So the equation will have x in the numerator and y in the denominator. So we'll just replace all the values in the similar way, all the values we have found. So it is x minus, instead of x bar, it is 30. R is 0.82, sigma x is 3.71, sigma y is 4.05, y as it is, y bar is 25. And left hand side as it is, we'll simplify this. 0.82 into 3.7571 by 4.05 is 0.75 into y minus 25 as it is. We'll multiply the constant here. 0.75 into y is 0.75 y. 0.75 into minus 25 is minus 18.75. And we need x on y, so the extra term here is minus 30. We'll push it to right side, makes it plus 30, and we'll add the constants. So that turns out to be x is equal to 0.75 y minus 18.75 plus 30 is 11.25. We got the second regression line, x on y, that is x in terms of y. So these are the two lines which is asking. Is also asking you to find age of husband when the age of wife is 16. So age of wife was represented as y. So I've taken y is equal to 16. I have to find age of husband, which is represented as x. So just go back to the second regression line and replace wherever y is there as 16. So that will give me 0.75 into 16 plus 11.25. You can use the calci and the answer is x is equal to 23.25, which is approximately equal to 23 years. So age of husband is 23 years. So that's one way of solving this problem, which if you observe, it's quite lengthy. So the same can be solved in an easy way by taking the second method. So in the first method, we had first found R and then we have found line. That's the reason it's become lengthy. So without finding R, I'll teach you how to find the regression lines. So same data, x and y, the same values I've taken. So I'll go for the second alternate formula to find the regression lines, which I had mentioned in the note in the last video. Okay, the first line, y on x is given by capital Y is equal to summation capital XY by summation x square into capital X. All the letters are capital letters here, where capital Y represents y minus y bar and capital X is x minus x bar. So first thing you should find is what is your capital Y and what is your capital X. So for that I need x bar and y bar. So I'll find x bar and y bar first. X bar is summation x by n, and summation x is the addition of the first column, which is 300, and summation of y is 250, and n represents the number of values. You can just count it. It is 10. So come back and replace it here. So x bar turns out to be 300 by 10, which is 30, and y bar is summation y by n, which is 250 by 10, which is 25. So we'll go and replace it back in x and y, that is capital X and capital Y. So the next thing you should find is capital X, capital Y, because we have to replace in the formula. So just go to the table, form the next columns as capital X and capital Y, where capital X is x minus x bar, and x bar is 30. So capital X is x minus 30, and capital Y is y minus 25. So that will be our next step. We'll go back to the table and form the capital X and capital Y, which is x minus 30 and y minus 25. So what is x? X is 36. 36 minus 30 is 6. 23 minus 30 is minus 7. You should be careful with the sign. 23 minus 30 is minus 7. Next is 27 minus 30, which is minus 3. Likewise, fill this column and find out capital X, and then find out capital Y, which is y minus 25. So y is 29. 29 minus 25 is 4. 18 minus 25 is minus 7. Likewise, fill this capital Y column. Once you have capital X and capital Y, you can just go back to the regression line and find all the terms which you need and replace it back. So we'll see in the regression line equation, what are the terms we need. Capital Y is y minus 25, and capital X is x minus 30. So here I need two summations. One is summation of xy, and the denominator one is summation x square. So we have to find these two from the table. So the next columns will be x into y, and the next will be x square. So we'll go back to the table again. We'll find the next columns as x square, y square, xy. Because we need that in the regression line, we need the summation of x square, summation of y square, summation of xy. So x square is capital X square here. So you should just square the third column. 6 square, which is 36, minus 7 whole square it is, which is 49. Negative square is always positive. So make sure you write positive here. Minus 3 square is 9. So fill this entire column in the similar way. And then you have to find y square, which is square of capital Y. 4 square is 16. Minus 7 square is 49 positive. And fill this entire column in the similar way. And the last column we need is x into y. So the third column into the fourth column. It's not small letter, it's capital letter in the formula. So it's capital X into capital Y. 6 into 4, which is 24. Minus 7 into minus 7 is 49. So in the similar way, we'll fill the last column as well. Once we have all the columns ready, we'll find the summation. So summation of capital X square is 138. Just add this column. And summation of y square is 164. Summation of xy is 123. So once we have all the values ready, we'll go and replace it back in the equation. So I'm replacing it back here. So y minus 25 as it is. Instead of summation xy, we have got the answer as 123. I've replaced. And summation x square is 138. Capital X is x minus 30. So just simplify this left hand side as it is. 123 by 138 is 0.89 into x minus 30. We'll multiply it. 0.89 into x is 0.89x 0.89 into minus 30 is minus 26.7. And you have one constant in the left hand side, we'll push it to right side. Minus 25 brought to the right side makes it plus 25. So the y relation, so y is equal to 0.89x minus 26.7 plus 25 is minus 1.7. So that's the first line, y on x. We have to find one more line, which is x on y. So capital X is equal to summation xy by summation y square into y. This will give you the regression line of x on y. Capital X is x minus x bar, which is x minus 30. And this summation we have found just now. Summation xy is 123. Summation y square is 164. Capital Y is y minus 25. So left hand side as it is. We'll find 123 by 164, which is 0.75. And y minus 25 as it is. We'll multiply this. 0.75 into y is 0.75y. 0.75 into minus 25 is minus 18.75. And left hand side you have constant there, minus 30. Push it to right side, makes it plus 30. So now the left out gives you the relation for x in terms of y. So x is equal to 0.75y minus 18.75 plus 30 is 11.25. So this is the second line, x on y. And he also wants you to find the age of husband when the age of wife is 16. So just replace your y as 16 and get the answer for x, which is 0.75 into 16 plus 11.25, which is 23.25 years, which is approximately equal to 23 years. So age of husband is 23 years when the age of wife is 16. So if you observe here, the same problem I've done in two methods, and the second method looks simpler, whereas the first method is quite lengthy. So the difference between these two is, in the first one, we have found the regression line by first finding out R. That's the reason it's become lengthy. Whereas in the second method, I have just directly found the regression line without finding R. And if at all he's asking you to find R as well, and you've used the second method, you can find it out by using the formula R is equal to, I had mentioned in the last video, if you remember, okay, this one. R is equal to square root of coefficient of x into coefficient of y. So just take the coefficient of x and coefficient of y from the lines. So you have to just take the coefficient of x, which is 0.89, and coefficient of y, which is 0.75, and multiply it under the square root. So square root of 0.89 into 0.75, and you'll get the same answer which you've got in the first method. R is equal to 0.82. So that's how you can find out line first and then find out the correlation coefficient. I hope today's class was useful. Thank you all.